Hey, Make.com users, I want to show you how you can unlock even more power out of Make.com by giving your users the ability to trigger your scenarios in the flow of work as they're already working. So let me give you some examples of what that looks like. So I'm a salesperson. I want to be filling in this lead tracking spreadsheet anytime I find a new lead on a web page online. Ordinarily, copying and pasting every one of these fields in for every single lead would take a lot of time and be very tedious. You can imagine if I was trying to copy all these people into that spreadsheet, that would be a lot of work. But now what I can do is I can highlight some of these people. Let me highlight Adrian and Ashima here. Right mouse click and say ask Steve to, and then I have a big list of skills that I can things I can ask Steve to do, and these are either calls to an LLM with like a prompt macro or calls to a webhook or API, in this case Make.com. And I'm going to pick the skill called add leads to Google Sheet. And what it's actually going to do is it's going to take all this data that I have selected and it's going to send it to a Make.com scenario that is actually going to do all the processing I need and add it to my sheet. So now if we go back here and look at my sheet, we can see that I have these two people and I have all the right data in the right columns: name, role, company. It constructed a LinkedIn search link for me so that I could get to that person's profile really quickly in 2 links. Here, 2 clicks, and then it put in the URL where I actually captured that person. And so that's one way to do it, is the right mouse click menu. Here's another way. So let's say I'm going to select this paragraph in this newspaper article. So this is also going to capture a lead, right? It's going to capture CEO Tim Cook of Apple because I've got an AI node in there that's going to process it. What I can do is I can open up the Ask Steve chat panel and I can run that same skill or API or scenario macro. In this case, it's going to be, we'll pull it up, add leads to Google Sheets, Make.com, and it's just going to do it right there. And so the lead has been added. And then another way I can trigger it is with my own button. So let me show you what that looks like as well. So let's say I'm on LinkedIn and I want to be able to very quickly add leads to Google Sheets from anybody's profile page that I'm on. What I can do with Ask Steve is add my own aftermarket AI button to any web page. So here I'm going to pick my skill, add leads to Google Sheet, Make.com, and then I'm going to go to the Add Button tab. And here it says, where should Steve get this data? And so this is the data from the page that I'm going to send in to Make.com. And in this case, if I leave this empty, then it's going to grab the whole page. That seems like a bit more than I actually need. I probably just need this top section right here. So I'm going to click on this and then move over to the page and mouse over and select the area where I want to grab that data from. And I'm going to select that. So now I can see all my lead info is going to come from there. And then where do I want to put my button? I'm going to pick the add button to page. And again, I can pick where to anchor it. I'm also going to anchor it to that same section. Instead of the bottom right, I'm going to move it to the top right. The name is a bit long, so I'm going to change the label on the button to just add leads. And then currently it's just on this one person's profile page. But if I get rid of that right there, now the URL stem is just kind of the beginning of all the profiles. And now it'll appear on everybody's profile page. So you see now that in just seconds, I'm able to add my own button to LinkedIn that I can go and I can click and it will add that person to my leads. And I'll go here and I will click. And I will go here and I will click. And all these people are now being added to my leads. So now with one click, I'm triggering a Make.com workflow that is firing some data in to Make.com and then actually returning some data out that tells me that it's added the leads and gives me a link to my sheet. And if we just go back over here, we can see that all of these people have been added. So you hopefully can see, and here's the actual Make.com scenario. I've got my webhook, Ask Steve makes post requests with JSON content, and then I take that content, I feed it to OpenAI and say, take that unstructured data, turn it into structured data, and then return a link. And the return value just needs to be an object with a message. And here I can include some light HTML formatting as well as like markdown URLs. And then in parallel, it parses out the results from OpenAI and turns it into a JSON object, iterates through all those elements, and then writes each one into the Google Sheet. So very straightforward and simple. But hopefully now you can see how you can combine Ask Steve, which you can learn more about at asksteve.to, along with Make.com to give your users all the power of Make.com in the applications that they're currently in, where it's with them on whatever page that they're on. It can see the pages that they're currently working on. Let's see, works where they already are, can see what they're already working on, can be personalized for them, like that button, and then gives them access to multiple systems, because your Make.com scenario can reach out to HubSpot, to Salesforce, to Sheets, pull that data back and give it to the user, all with them, without them ever having to leave the page that they were on. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in our support community, and looking forward to see what you build with Make.com and Ask Steve.